Welcome to Season 2 of the SOAR podcast, the place for creative entrepreneurs who want to build healthier, happier, more profitable self-employed businesses. I'm your host, Ray Hyde Cornell, business mentor at Chiron Consulting and CEO and senior copywriter at Cornell Content Marketing. Get ready to soar. All right. We have with us today Amy McNally, who I am so excited to have on the show. She was one of my fellow co-authors in Corporate Dropouts. And Amy, I will let you tell our listeners what you do with your amazing business.
Yes, thank you so much for having me here. I've been so excited and looking forward to it. So, my business is really focused on helping women specifically, although I'm open to helping anybody, really create freedom by creating a signature offer. So, this is something that really showcases their expertise. It could, and the beautiful thing about entrepreneurship, especially nowadays, is that it can be anything, right? It can be teaching somebody how to garden. It could be teaching somebody, how to organize your house. So it's so beautiful to help people package that into something that's sellable, into something that's evergreen, where they're not, constantly launching it and have to create new materials for it. So my focus is really helping women creating wealth through that avenue of having things that they can sell over and over that really showcases their expertise, that offers a solution to other people.
Yeah. And I love your approach because you use something called EFT. Tell us a little bit about that, because I feel like it's this thing that's kind of been floating around. I've heard little whispers about it, but I don't fully understand it.
Yeah, so EFT is kind of one of my secret weapons. And so, what happens with people in entrepreneurship is that we have a lot of fears, right? And we have a lot of doubts, and a lot of, can I do this? Who am I to do this? A lot of limiting beliefs really come to the surface, right? And this could be as simple as, creating content and then posting it, right? Or showing up on social media, and it's like all these things come to the surface. So what EFT does, it's actually kind of it's so many things, but it's really a self-healing technique that helps you kind of process and work through some of those limiting beliefs in real time. It has clinical studies to back it, which is super huge for me. And I know, Ray, we're both from the mental health field. And so this was something that I even used like with my therapy clients, because it's been clinically proven to be really effective with things such as anxiety, hello, entrepreneurship, right?
Right.
But also more serious things like post-traumatic stress disorder. And so I really help guide my clients through the common challenges and obstacles that we face as entrepreneurs. And I walk them through tapping. And then at the end, it really creates an energy shift so that they can continue on with their day. They can show up, they can do the things that they need to do to grow their business.
Yeah. So EFT, if I'm remembering correctly, it stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. Is that right?
Yep, you got it. Look at you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and it's just a fascinating concept to me because, I'm a huge believer in energetics and connection. And it's funny, my assistant and I were boxing this morning because we both had back pain yesterday. And she's like, we're so linked. And I'm like, I know. And we just like, had this bonding moment about how like closely linked we are energetically, and that energy shows up in our bodies. And so tapping, well, I don't fully understand the mechanism, and we can talk a little bit more about that, because to see people do that, I've seen them do it. They just kind of like tap on themselves in certain places. It looks weird,
Yeah.
but it makes sense to me in a way because we do hold so much energy in our bodies. We hold so much information in our bodies. And especially because so many entrepreneurs go down this path, down this way of life, because they have suffered from depression, anxiety, PTSD. They just don't fit into the traditional job world. And so if we can free ourselves from that and release that energy that's trapped in our bodies and causing all these problems, which our lifestyles of being in front of a computer can sometimes exacerbate, then, oh my God, it's like you get relief on so many levels, not just the physical, but also the energetic. And then, of course, your specialty in money. So tell me a little bit about, just kind of like demystify this for me. What is the tapping all about?
Yeah. So the interesting thing is that it actually sends calming signals to your brain. And a lot of people don't realize this. So, as we are feeling triggered, essentially, right? And again, entrepreneurship has a great way of doing this. And it's it's not only the fears, but it can also bring up a lot of self-worth stuff, right? Like I'm not good enough. And so what we do, it's kind of a rapid way to process limiting thoughts and emotions because as you're speaking and you're tapping on certain meridian points in your body, which meridian points are essentially just energy points in your and on your body, right? So there's energy flowing through us, and I like to explain it like a highway, right? So if you
Mm,
picture your body, it's just going around and around this highway, right? This energetic highway. And so anytime we have, limiting thoughts, limiting feelings, back pain, right? It essentially causes a disturbance in that energy. And so what happens is instead of it being able to flow super freely around the track, right? That's
it's like
how
a
I always
pile up on
envision
the
it.
highway, right?
Yes. Instead, it's like it has to dodge these boulders and it has these
Mm,
speed bumps. And so it makes it so much more difficult for that energy to flow freely. And so tapping comes in, and because it allows you to essentially process whatever's going on, um, we can stick with the back pain example, right? Because it's been proven that a lot of physical pain is linked to emotional stuff.
mm.
And so you could literally just tap on the meridian points while talking about how you're feeling, right? Like, and it doesn't sound pretty. And that's the beautiful thing about it is giving ourselves permission to say, like, I am so upset that I have back pain today. Like, this is so annoying. This is so frustrating, right? And it gives you a safe space and place to really voice your true feelings and opinions. But the beauty is, as you're doing that, you're sending calming signals to the amygdala, to your brain, so your brain and your body, instead of being in a heightened fight or flight response, it's actually sensing that it's safe and that it's okay. And so what that means, all that to say that whatever is bothering you that you're tapping on, your body is going to essentially no longer feel that that's a threat, and it's going to be able to relax.
Yeah. Oh,
And
perfect.
it's so
Okay.
huge.
It is. And especially because entrepreneurs, God, I swear, every single person that I work with, anyone who I mentor in my business mentoring programs, one of the first things that we tackle is money. Everyone seems to have money blocks, whether it's your mindset around money, your limitations around money, your belief that money is scarce. And oh my God, when am I going to get my next client? When am I going to get my next project? Whatever that might be, money seems to be a universal concern. And a lot of what I talk about and what we do in my workshops and things revolves around manifestation. So you want the thing, that's great, but you need to actively bring that thing about. And that happens in two different ways. One, you have to take action in the physical world, or in our case, the digital world. And you also have to be energetically aligned to that thing. You have to, if you want abundance, if you want money, you have to be energetically embodying abundance and money. And so, what you're describing with EFT is a way to get into alignment, to release that fear, to release those anxieties so that you can manifest and so that your actions have even more impact on your path to bringing that business plan to life.
Yes, this you should have told me you were into manifesting. We could
Oh,
have dove into this earlier.
we'll do more
Um,
episodes, I swear.
yeah, no, literally. So you absolutely summed it up perfectly. So I'll explain it just a different way, just a little bit more simply because again, if you're into manifestation and you know these things like energetics and all, you understand it. But also, if you're not in that world and you haven't yet studied that, it's like, whoa, these women are talking a foreign language right now.
Yes, it's
So,
like witchcraft and woo woo. And I'm like, no,
yeah,
it's science. I swear. There's a part of your brain that does this. I swear.
yes. So, simply put, and this is how I like to explain it to my clients who are maybe a little bit newer to kind of these topics and these concepts, is that there are there are several emotions, right? Ranging from joy, happiness, love, all the way to fear and, victim mode and powerlessness and all these things. So if you are trying to manifest and create more money from that energy, right? A very lack energy, you're quite simply not an energetic match for money, right? And I know that this is so hard to grasp, and it was for me for many years. So what the whole goal is to allow ourselves to feel better, right? And there's many, many ways to do this, right? Some people love to exercise, some people love to journal, some people love to meditate. For me, this is where tapping really comes in, because whatever yucky feelings I'm having around money, I get to process it, right? I call it venting. I get to say it out loud, because it's not healthy to just stuff it down or pretend that it doesn't exist, but to really allow myself to voice what it is I'm thinking and feeling. But while tapping, I promise you, there's something that shifts and clicks. And then afterwards, you're like, wait a minute, I don't feel those negative feelings anymore. It's like, it really is kind of like magic. And so the whole goal of that is to feel different, to feel better. And when we're feeling better, right? When we're feeling hopeful, optimistic, happy in terms of our business and our money, we are then more open to receive opportunities at that level, right? Whereas if we're vibrating at an energy of, fear and scarcity, then we're going to attract opportunities to us that are at that level. So that's a lot. It's complicated, but also it's so easy once it clicks, that it's essentially we're using these tools like EFT, emotional freedom technique, to feel better so that we can actually create more money in our businesses.
Exactly. And ultimately, even if these concepts seem out there or woo-woo or, magic or, whatever you want to call them, ultimately what it comes down to is it's all about your quality of life. We want you to feel better. We want you to get what you want. We want you to have all of the things. We want you to reach your goals. We want you to fulfill your purpose. That's the whole point here. We want you to feel good. And so on that note, we're going to take a quick break to drop a few resources here, and we'll be right back. Hey, Ray here. Let's talk money. Money is universal. It's the conduit for exchanging energy between people and business entities, which are really just more people. It's how we build the lives we want, and it's how we can make an impact for the better. As a good friend of mine likes to say, good money in the hands of good people can do good things. And if you don't have a healthy relationship with money, you're inevitably going to run into trouble. Whether you're struggling with your pricing, or you're not sure where the money you work so hard for is vanishing off to, or you just want to have an easier time of attracting in money like a magnet, you will find everything you need to transform your money mindset and manifest the wealth you want inside of my course, Money Mindset Mastery. Plus, as an added bonus, you'll also get access to my most popular barrier-busting workshop, Price Yourself Perfectly. Learn more at chironconsulting.us/money mindset. That's all one word, money mindset. Go to chironconsulting.us/money mindset. Okay, we are back, and I want to talk all about the money aspect here. So this is your specialty, Amy. Money, attracting in money, manifesting money, and really getting someone's money mindset right so that they can attract in what they want, what they desire. What have you noticed is kind of like either a really common money mindset block, or maybe the most damaging that holds people back the most from achieving what they really want out of life?
I love this question. And it's part of like my life's work, right? Like figuring out what stops female entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs in general the most, especially when it comes to creating more money. So there's a couple of things. One is really this worthiness piece. And I know that people talk about it, but it's so true, because when you talk about things like how much are you charging, and this was something that I dealt with before I really dove into more of the personal development work, but I wasn't charging enough, right? And in my business, and honestly, that does such a disservice to not only your clients, but to you as well, which is a whole other topic. So It's this worthiness piece around the money, right? Specifically, because they start second guessing that they are good enough to charge X amount, right? And another huge one that kind of ties into this is comparison. So this is one of my top pet peeves is that, women and men are looking to other people who are doing similar things. And they're like, oh, if so-and-so is charging, $50, I'm going to charge $50. Or on the opposite end, if so-and-so is charging $5,000, I'm going to charge that too. And the thing about pricing and money is that it is such a unique thing to use. So what person A is charging does not mean that person B should be charging that as well, right? And so it really forces them to kind of face those things of what do I really feel ready and worthy of charging in this moment, right? And I always tell my clients that we can grow this, we can scale this, right? Like so many people are trying to either undercharge or they're way overcharging and they're not aligned to either. It's not the highest good for them or their clients. And so it's really helping them tune in and feel into what feels like a sweet spot for me now, knowing that that can grow and change and increase as I grow and increase.
Yeah. And I love that you bring up the issue of comparison, because I swear probably every freelancer who has ever embarked on being self-employed has Googled at one time or another, how much do I charge for a blog post? How much should I charge for a logo design? How much should I charge for my hourly VA services? We all do it, right? But the problem is, if you're typing that in and there are literally billions of people out there that you can work with, you're going to get billions of answers, because it's like, so I have a course called Money Mindset Mastery. And in that course, we talk about this one particular case study of a t-shirt company that regular old t-shirts, like the one that I'm wearing now, maybe really simple designs, like a white t-shirt with like black lines on it, whatever, $500 for that t-shirt. And people are buying it. And then you can go to Walmart and get a t-shirt that looks like its cousin for $7. There is always going to be someone who will buy what you have to offer at whatever price you decide to set it at. Always. There is limitless potential to sell what you want. The trick is finding that price point that's aligned to you so that you A, feel good about selling it, B, actually want to sell it. You're not embarrassed because the price is too high. You're not like, oh, I actually don't want to sell this because if someone does buy it, then I have to do the work at that price and that's just not enough, which is a subconscious thing that you're probably not even aware of that's going on in your mind. But there's all this resistance. And so if you have your pricing off, if it's too low or if it's too high, you are going to be the block that doesn't sell your offers. It's not, oh, people aren't buying it at that price, I have to lower it, I have to raise it. No, it's you. It all starts with you. And so when you're working with people on their money mindset, I know you have a couple of freebies and things, and one of them that really caught my attention, which we'll include things in the show notes, but one of them was about using tapping to, what was it, to envision yourself as a millionaire? I believe that was the language that you used.
Yeah, so it's called tapping into millions because again, the people that come to work with me and the people that come to my world, I think it's because I am this way, but I have a dream of being a millionaire and a multi-millionaire at that. And so I tend to attract other entrepreneurs who have that similar goal.
Yeah.
So I created it, speaking of EFT, I created an EFT tapping meditation actually. So it's very much kind of like a guided meditation practice that also allows you to experience the gift of tapping. And it's all around releasing blocks around your income. So again, the common things that we feel, but then also helping you align, which we talked about, to those more positive feelings. So we kind of run through the whole gamut of what might be currently your current mindset around money, and especially being a millionaire, because that's a whole other conversation, but every price point brings up different thoughts and opinions, right? So if you talk about, somebody having a goal of 6 figures, that's going to bring up very specific thoughts, memories, beliefs around hitting six figures. But then if you change it, right? If you start to change the language and change the goal, it's going to bring up new things. So I was like, let's just skip the small stuff. Let's go straight to the millionaire status. So yeah, I'm super excited to offer that to your audience. And I think that, even if you're not familiar with tapping, or even if it feels very odd and strange, I really recommend you going through it. And even if you don't tap, even if you just listen to it, it's going to help shift you into a higher frequency around money.
Well, and the reason why I brought this up is because that word millionaire, I feel like, and I don't know who's listening to this right now in the future and sending me this message, because I feel like this is a very common thing where people see the word millionaire and they're like, oh, it's impossible for me to be a freelance writer, freelance designer, freelance VA, and be a millionaire. Like, who the fuck am I to think that I could possibly get to that point? That's absurd. That's insane. Or I would have to create this huge team, this huge agency, this huge responsibility, which is why I left the corporate world anyway, to get rid of all of that responsibility and baggage. Why would I want to create more of that? But for you, I feel like you take a very different approach to that word millionaire. What would you say to someone who's having those limiting beliefs of, I can't, it's impossible, it would come with all this negative stuff that I don't want? What does being a millionaire actually mean? What can that look like?
I love this question. I don't know if anyone's ever asked me that specifically. So again, being a millionaire, to me, I do have a very different outlook and vision about it. And I think that that's why I can like say it so freely, where in the past, though, even just saying it, I felt wrong even coming out of my mouth. I didn't even feel worthy of saying that, let alone claiming publicly that I'm going to be one, right? Like that all felt so uncomfortable. So the thing I want to say about a millionaire is that it creates so much freedom, right? And so people will say, well, what the audacity, right? Like why do you need that? Who
Yeah.
needs that much money? Honestly, anchoring into why I want that money, why I desire that money, and more specifically how I would spend it has fueled the vision for me so much more. It's not from, and again, it's money is such a personal topic, right? For me, it's not about the fancy clothes. It's not about the fancy shoes and the bags. Honestly, I could care less about that stuff,
Right.
honestly and truly. For me, it's like creating animal sanctuaries. I live in Hawaii,
Yes.
and there's like a feral cat, like freaking problem here, big
Yeah.
time. That hurts my heart. And so it's like there's people willing to take care of these animals and to create solutions, but they don't have the funding to do it, right? Like, so really tapping into how would you spend that money and why? And it does, I think it's shifting the paradigm and the rationale around having a lot of money, and we get to redefine that, right? It doesn't have to be about the cliche, oh, I want fancy cars and all that. Honestly, that none of that is super
Yeah.
important to me at all. But
Yeah.
it's these other things, and ultimately it comes down to the freedom, right? The freedom to, work with the people I want to, the freedom to fund passion projects, the freedom to make a difference in my community. And so if I have to, look at expanding or getting uncomfortable, getting outside of my comfort zone, possibly hiring a team or whatever that looks like, I ask myself, is doing that worth my vision
Mhm.
of what I have of being a millionaire? And the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely resounding yes. But I think it's so easy to disconnect and to shut it down when we haven't even allowed ourselves to dream and think about what that could look like for us.
Yeah. And I love that you shared your vision of the animal sanctuaries, because my husband and I have similar visions, especially when we go on vacations, and when my husband and I go on vacation, we're usually going on adventures. Like we go, snowmobiling in Montana and hiking into the Grand Canyon and things like that. And so we're on the road a lot. And during those road trips, we will talk about our future plans and all the things that we want to do with the money that we're going to earn through my businesses. And like you, I don't care about purses and shoes. I literally buy my one purse or my, my favorite pair of flip-flops that I just keep wearing out over and over again on
Same.
Amazon or at Walmart or at Target. Like, who the fuck cares? I don't care about that stuff, but we want to give to the Wounded Warrior Project. And, we want to buy some land up in like North Dakota and South Dakota and create a wolf sanctuary and a nature preserve and things like that. And that's the stuff that really gets me excited and like just makes my heart just light up. And that is what calls in the money. And I feel like our generation, especially where we grew up, where all the things on the news were about the Donald Trumps, pre-presidency and the Steve Jobs of the world and, all these big tech companies, we think, oh, being a millionaire means I have to basically sell my soul. I have to, get into these businesses and these things and be in these cultures and these communities. And I have to, be in these boardrooms all day long. And this very corporate idea of being a millionaire, that's kind of like those two ideas were kind of mashed together for us growing up and watching the news and things. But what you're really talking about is redefining the word and redefining your relationship with money, which for me, I'm a firm believer that money is energy. Money is the exchange of energy between two people. And money wants to have a purpose. It wants to do good in the world. And so if you start letting yourself envision, well, if I were a millionaire, what would I do with that money? I wouldn't go, maybe you would buy the Ferrari. Maybe you can treat yourself to a Ferrari. Okay, you're a millionaire, that's chump change, whatever. But then what would you do with the rest of it? Like, what good do you want to do in the world? What impact do you want to have? And that opens up huge channels of attracting in that goal.
Yeah, and two things I want to add to that. One, if you publicly declare those things, people naturally want to get on board, right? Like when you were talking about like a wolf sanctuary, I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, right? And it's like you want to somehow get on board and support that, right? So and that could be like next time you offer something paid, I'm like, oh, I want to purchase that because in the back of my mind, you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
helps people feel like they're a part of something bigger than just like oh, I'm giving my hard earned money to this person. So that was the first thing that came to my mind. But also the second thing, we have largely been shown wealth that looks a certain way, right? You
Mhm.
mentioned Donald Trump, Steve Jobs, things like that. If we, and this is why the redefining part is so important, because if we don't maybe see eye to eye with those people, or we don't agree with some of their decisions or the way that they created their money, we are naturally going to repel that from us because we don't want to be like that and we don't want to be associated with people like that. So we will naturally block ourselves. So that's why for me, I had to redefine it. And I had to anchor into something bigger than me because I knew that if it was just about me, I maybe wouldn't push as hard, right? I maybe wouldn't show up on the days that I don't want to show up, or I wouldn't keep going when I feel like I want to give up. But when I anchor into the bigger vision, it's like, it's not even about me.
Right.
It's really, it's
It's not.
about what I can help create or what, the money passing through me will help, but it's not about me.
Yeah, exactly. I love that you said the money passing through you because I really think of it that way too. And when scarcity hits, we tend to close our fists. We tend to get really tight. We hold on tight to every penny. We hold on tight to every client. Every opportunity is like it's just earth shattering if we don't get the gig. And so we close our fists and suddenly nothing can flow through them. But if we release our grip and we open up our hands and we relax, that's when money can actually flow. And now, one more thing I want to talk about before we end is offers. So you really specialize in helping people figure out their money. And oftentimes, what does that look like in our business? It looks like our offers. And one of the things that you told me about before we started recording was something you recently created. And you told me about this pattern that you've noticed with entrepreneurs, which I 100% agree with now that you've pointed it out, that we tend to have tons of offers, tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of offers. But does that actually serve our business? Does that actually serve us? Does it actually serve our clients? Are we being overly flexible, overly accommodating? Tell me about your philosophy on offers and what advice would you give to someone who does have multiple offers in their business?
Yeah, so I kind of joke about this because I shifted my business model into this specifically because I was this person that I'm about ready to describe. So please, in no way, shape, or form, like think that I'm calling people out or being rude, because I'm actually kind of laughing about it because this was totally me. But the pattern that I'm seeing again, because people come to me when they want to create wealth in their business, right? And so it's merging all of these things, right? The
Yeah.
money mindset, the EFT, but at the end of the day, you have to have a business structure that's sustainable to bringing that wealth in, right? Like,
Yeah.
yes, we can manifest, which I love. Yes, we can, open ourselves up to receive miracles and amazing opportunities. But at the end of the day, you really need a business structure that's going to continue bringing in the income. And so, what I see when I start diving into my clients' businesses is that they're spending 90% of their time just in creation mode, right? So, what that means and what that looks like is they're creating new offers, they're creating new packages, they're creating new content. It's just constant creation, but it never really gains any traction because they're always on to the next thing, right? And so, to give you a tangible example, that could look like, um, a client is creating an offer on manifestation, right? And then she's turning around, she's creating an offer on money mindset. And then she's turning around, she's creating an offer on business strategy. And then she's turning around, she's right. And it's like our one that just leaves them constantly
Yeah.
creating and not really giving the love and attention to any single offer. Um, and honestly, again, it comes back to it's doing themselves a disservice because I firmly believe that the offers they're creating are amazing and they're incredible, right? And there is a need for it. Otherwise, they wouldn't be creating it. But I really like to help females hone in and focus on creating six figures with one offer first before branching out to others. Because what this does is it allows you to refine your process, it allows you to get really freaking good at one thing, right? So again, it could be scaling an offer around money mindset to six figures. And then we can maybe look at, the manifesting and the other things. And again, that was me. I was so
Yeah.
guilty of like, I got this offer and I got this offer and I got this offer and I got this offer. But I wasn't giving the time and dedication and love to any of the offers. So
Yeah.
none of them really got the traction that they deserve, both my clients experiencing them and also me for the time and energy that I put into creating it. So
Yeah.
now I really love just helping them simplify. And that's the thing too, if we have 90 offers, we're going to be like that's a lot, both
Yeah.
energetically and mentally and physically, and then you have to somehow deliver on all 90 offers. But if we can simplify, strip that down, really, really hone in on one at first, that there's so many benefits to that. It helps you be seen as an authority. It helps your clients get better testimonies, right? Better results, which then starts kind of selling the program or the offer for you. And this can be done with services as well. But so in like freelance, instead of offering like I do this and I do this and I do this and I do this, it's like you can be super well known and niche down to I'm amazing at copywriting or I'm amazing at creating websites, whatever that might be. It's like we have this fear, again, the scarcity of if I niche down too much, there's not going to be enough. And the reality is that the opposite is true. The more we niche down, it really brings forth the people who are desiring what we have.
Exactly. And I think there's a time for being a generalist. It's when you're early in your career and you're trying to figure out what do I actually like and what lights me up and what do I enjoy? What am I good at? But at some point you do have to refine, you do have to hone in. And I love this conversation because you have struck the perfect balance between the two things that I love, energetics and logistical business building, like the actual tangible business side of it. And that's so smart to really concentrate your energy, concentrate your effort on perfecting the processes, the systems, the flow, the client experience, the client acquisition strategy, all those things for one offer. You can figure out what works best for you in that process. And then, only then, when the time is right, then you can take all those things that you figured out and apply them to another offer that you feel called to create once you've gotten to that point. But figure out all those kinks and details with the one. So, Amy, I know you have a freebie that you just created on this. Tell us about that and tell us where people can check you out and learn more about you and work with you.
Yeah, so you can check out the offer. We'll make sure it's in the show notes. It's called Create Your 100K Offer. And so this is actually a 3-part training video series, if you will. And so what I do is I talk about the 3 things that you really want to have in place when creating this signature offer, right? So we go into pricing and why you should actually raise your prices, which is a super juicy topic. We also go into how to kind of structure this offer to really leverage your time, right? Because if you're anything like me, I got into this business to make an impact and make income, but also so that I could have time freedom, right? I didn't want to be tied to a traditional work schedule. So I really go into how to leverage this offer so that you can have your time back. And I think it's really amazing. I'm super excited. I created it recently. It's the most recent one I've created, so it's the most up to date, if you will. But I highly encourage you to check it out and to watch the videos. And even if maybe it's just a pricing one that you need to hear, so give yourself permission to jump around if you want to do that. But I think it's really going to help you, especially if you're someone who's like, okay, I kind of understand what she's saying. Like, it kind of makes sense. Like, I can see the benefits of having one signature offer. This is just going to hopefully provide you more evidence and confirmation that that's the right decision for you.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. And where can people check you out online?
Yeah, so I have a free Facebook community called Women Creating Wealth. So in there, there's so much goodness. There's a ton of free tapping resources on all things money, money mindset. And honestly, I even have tappings in there about attracting clients. And so if you were interested in the EFT part of the conversation, there's a lot of free resources in there on that. I'm also going to be hosting some live masterclasses more on the structure of business building. So just come get in there. Women Creating Wealth. It's amazing. And it really brings that blend of both kind of the energetics and the feeling good and the self-care. And I really merge it with, okay, but we also need these tangible things to have a successful and sustainable business.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for being here, Amy. This was phenomenal.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Hey, Ray here again. Thanks for listening. If you liked this episode, please subscribe and rate us in your favorite podcasting platform. Want to be a guest on the show or know someone who has an amazing story of entrepreneurship? Apply on our website at chironconsulting.us/podcast.